You're listening to Ask When, the podcast. Folks from all walks of life talk about their daily hustle and bustle, living and celebrating life, sharing tips on becoming champions, especially for those who are muscling mental and physical disabilities. Ask When, the podcast, with your host, who has mustered over 30 years living with cerebral palsy and going strong, author and cerebral palsy advocate Wynn Charles. Ask When, the podcast starts right now.
Welcome to Ask When, everyone. Today with me I have Rebecca, and so I'm going to let Rebecca take it away and share her story.
Hi, my name's Rebecca Sutton, and I live in Greenville, North Carolina with my mom and husband, 2 dogs, and crazy cat. And I want to share a little bit about my background and how I became an entrepreneur in the area that I'm working in. When I was 17, I was diagnosed major recurrent depressive disorder and told I'd be on medicine the rest of my life. And I went through probably about 10 years of just depressive episodes and really reached out to find help, and finally was starting to feel better. But then I was diagnosed bipolar in 2003 and went through about 10 years of dealing with medicine, which is a very tricky thing to get right when you're bipolar. And then I spent another 10 years in sort of in and out of intensive counseling, various modalities of counseling, various techniques of counseling. And I learned, DBT and CBT and a variety of, therapies. And I've used all that experience to culminate into an online presence as someone who helps women who struggle with mental health issues become strong, confident, and ready to be entrepreneurs themselves.
Well, that's amazing. You are speaking to a niche that was you at one point,
Mm-hmm.
and mental health is a huge stigma, huge, and I believe in going to seek help if you need it, and that's why, you guys, after journalism school, I'm actually going to become a health coach and a psychologist, because I am coming to the understanding that mental health is one of those things that people don't want to talk about, but yet they need.
Yes. And the more knowledge you can gain around mental health, the more compassionate and understanding person you become too.
And yeah, and it's huge. It's a huge stigma. So, what has been your favorite client success story, without mentioning the client's name, obviously, for anonymity reasons? But what has been your favorite client success story?
Probably my current client going through my online course called Yes You Can, Move Your Mindset from Surviving to Thriving. And it's a 12-week course. And she comes from a background of severe trauma, childhood abuse, and she has tried counseling and tried medicine and really found that it didn't do everything she needed it to do, that she was left with still some painful memories. And fortunately, the way I've structured this course, she is just really opening up, and so she's letting go, and she's finding healing, and um, she just thinks really highly of it, and I'm honored. I'm really honored that she would think highly of it.
Yep. But you need to try different things until you find the right person. I was blessed enough to I go to counseling myself. I'm still going to counseling, you guys. We're just doing it social distancing. But I was blessed enough to find the appropriate counselor for me,
Right.
and I was blessed enough to have friends say, okay, my stepmom said, okay, you need to go to counseling because you're grumpy, you're a grumpy puss. And so, and this was directly after my father died. Um, I lost him in May. And so,
Oh, I'm
yes,
so
I
sorry.
needed to see a counselor, and I knew I needed to see a counselor. I actually facilitated that one on my way down to see my dad in the hospital, but
Mm,
no one listened to me, and then things just spiraled out of control. And then it finally got to the breaking point where my stepmom said, "You need counseling, and you need it now." And so dragged. I didn't drag myself. Had a I had a really good, supportive friend who was working with me at the time as my aide. And she goes, okay, this is how we're going to do it. This is what we're going to do. And then I'm going to essentially walk with you and be there for you. And
right.
yeah, but, me going to counseling, and Glenn and I lost my mom in 2010, and
Right.
so my dad didn't believe in counseling, and,
Right.
um, yeah, my dad didn't believe
It's
in counseling. So
kind of
I
typical.
was, it's difficult to understand, and considering my dad had a psychology degree, that it's difficult to understand. But um, at the same time, counseling has saved me, and counseling has saved many
Yeah.
others. Now, Rebecca, if you had to move house, and with the exception of your family and animals, you could only take 5 things, what would they be?
My computer and phone, my journal, um, probably my favorite blanket and my favorite pillow.
Ah, pillows and blankets are always good.
I
And
know.
then, yeah, and then the journal, and then computer and phone. So you could at least have, you could at least work from anywhere in the world.
Yes, yes.
And so if your BFF was, if your best friend was going to write a book about you, what would the title be?
Well, I actually talked to my best friend about that, and we agreed on a title of a book because I actually started writing one. It's called Memoirs of a Mental Case.
Memoirs
And
of a mental case. Jeez, Rebecca, you put it right out there. You put it right out there. Memoirs of a mental
because I'm
case.
crazy but beautiful,
Ah,
just
you're
like that
crazy. I
song.
think we're all crazy but beautiful.
That's
I
my
think
husband's song for me.
we're all crazy but beautiful. We're crazy in our own ways, but
Yep.
we have beautiful souls inside. The memoir of a mental case. I love it. And so, what is your favorite book, and what is the title?
Well, I really don't have a favorite book. I have my favorite book would be my journal because it's the
Your
story of my
favorite,
life.
your favorite book is the story that you written. That is most people. Most people, when I ask that question, um, And Glenn and I just started asking that question. Most people can rattle off their favorite book, but Rebecca, I have never heard someone say. I've heard people say, "I'll take my journal with me," but my journal being my favorite book, how cool is that?
Yeah, I love to look back and see progress that I've made or challenges, or just say, gosh, I was there 3 years ago and now it's like this online presence and what I'm doing with women was really born in 2017. But like I go through in my course, once you find your passion, suddenly it's like God or the universe, depending on how you believe, brings up a bunch of junk and you have to deal with your junk and you
Yes,
have to get healthy, and then you find happiness. And I really wanted to touch on something you said was, I believe happiness and joy and just healing comes through a support network. I think
yeah,
that is the essential component, is having unconditional love and support.
yeah. No, I am sitting here today with the best support network ever, and some are more silent than others. But I believe the support network can pick you up when you're on ground,
Hmm.
and
And
my support,
challenge you. And
yeah, and challenge you and make you think.
yes.
Yeah, make
Yep.
you think and tell you when to knock it off and say, "Yeah, you need to knock it off, and we could try this again."
My support network is my mom and my husband. And
Yeah,
when my stepdad died in 2013, I moved in with my mom so that we could share expenses. And she was my number one support system. And then I met my husband, and he became my number two. They're both equal, but they
exactly.
serve different purposes. One has that unconditional love that I always take your side, and the
Yep,
other one was pushing me to be the best person I could
yep,
possibly be.
yep. The one the one has the mom syndrome, and they'll love their kids no matter what the other
Mhm.
side goes. You need a push in the right direction.
Yes, yes,
So
that's
yeah,
exactly it. Good
so
word.
it's a fine line, and it's a
Mhm,
fine line, and I I think and I'm going to say this. Yes, you guys can shoot me for saying this, but I am religious. I won't get into that, but I am religious, and I think you being there, Rebecca, for your mom right now is the best thing, because I don't know how old your mom is, but just having someone there to explain to her what's going on. I
mhm.
mean, a lot of these older people don't have the support network that they should, and their kids are growing and moved out of the house. And I don't care if you have a disability or not, you need that support network.
Yes, yes, and she needs me as much as I need her. So it's a mutual
You hit the nail right
respect.
on the head. You hit the
Mhm,
nail right on the head. I am lucky enough to have my stepmom, and I am lucky enough to have supportive friends. But I think my stepmom and I need need each other now more than ever, because
mhm.
we don't know what's going on in the outside world. And if you're older and disabled, you're up the creek without a paddle.
Right,
I
right.
mean, yeah, you're up the creek without a paddle. So I applaud you for not losing hope with your mom and being in the same house, sheltered in place. And I know that's a tough cookies by now, but we'll make it through the other side, do you guys? And so, Rebecca, what is your morning routine?
My morning routine, the first thing I do is check my email and my messaging because I have 2 clients in Australia, and they often are that's like their evening time is my early morning time.
Yeah.
And then I take my medicine and take a shower and eat breakfast, and then I'm right to work early. I think I like to work early. I do a lot of interviews myself, and so I do a lot of interviews in the morning when things are fresh.
Yeah, see, you're like me. I like to by 9 a.m. I'm at my desk doing something, doing
Yes.
interviews, doing schoolwork. By by 4 o'clock, I'm exhausted because I not only have the mental capabilities of being a morning person, but I also have to combat cerebral palsy as well. And the problem with cerebral palsy is that for me, sitting up in the chair and controlling CP, um, by 4 p.m., it's like, don't
I
ask,
can
don't
understand.
don't ask a disabled woman to function. Don't don't ask a disabled woman on medication to function either, because um, you and I have a different mindset than most of the world.
Right. Right. Because we've experienced stigma and we've
Yeah, we've
experienced
experienced stigma, we've experienced loss, we've experienced all of it. So don't ask us, work with us in in our peak hours, which is the morning, and then don't ask a person who isn't a morning person to transfer to nights. Otherwise, we get grumpy. I don't know about you, but I personally get grumpy.
I don't talk much to people in the evenings when I work.
No,
I usually do my
no,
tech stuff at night.
no, tech stuff, no. And I have a severe allergy to blue light too.
Oh,
So
you do?
when it comes to 4 p.m., I'm like, walk away before I get grumpy
Okay.
at people.
Good for you. Good for you. I spend too much
Well,
time
yeah,
on the computer.
yeah. Now, and the computer's all the computers now all we have. So with the communications with the outside world. And so, Rebecca, as we wrap this interview up, do you have any questions for me?
Well, I wonder how has stigma affected your life?
Oh, goodness. Stigma, well, people not, I have my true fan base who believes in me right now, but people are saying, "When? What the heck are you doing? Going back to school to get journalism degree slash soon to be house coaching degree slash soon to be psychology degree?" And right now, I'm working on my journalism, and because I feel like writing from a disabled point of view would set me on path to success. But a lot of people are like, what the are you doing? Because they don't believe in me. Unless you, and this is the other thing I wanted to bring up live, you guys, unless you sit with a disabled person and truly figure out what makes them tick, you can judge us all day long. I don't care if you're mentally disabled. I don't care if you're physically disabled. I don't care if it's hidden. I don't care if you can see it. I don't care if you have one arm, one leg, one eyeball. Until you physically sit with a person, back off, because you don't know jack squat. You don't know jack squat of what their emotions are, what their so back off, please,
Yeah.
because I until you get to know them, until you get to know Rebecca and I from the inside out, back off, keep your distance, and we'll teach you everything you need to know.
Yes, there you go.
But yeah, but until you um learn about a disabled person, you guys need to come to the resources at hand. You guys need to ask Rebecca for help. You guys need to ask me for help. You guys need to ask the paralyzed for help. You guys need to ask the deaf for help. You guys need to ask the blind for help. You guys, yeah, because bipolar and mental disabilities are huge in this country.
Right.
And first, first things first, I think it's mental and then a physical. And so until you get to know us, you guys, you need to back off because we can teach you all you need to know without you Googling it. I love it when people say, "Oh, when I Googled cerebral palsy," I'm like, "Oh, that's a trick of the app," because you're getting all the information of kids getting diagnosed with cerebral palsy. You're not getting the adult perspective, and you're probably the same way. People have probably said to you, "I googled um, mental disability."
That was
I'm like,
my husband, yeah. He thought he knew everything about it until he lived with me, and then he really learned.
my stepmom. My stepmom did the exact same thing. She met me. Well, it's gonna be nine years. She met me 9 years ago. Was going to marry my dad, and my dad passed away, and so she became my stepmom a little bit backwards. But she Googled what is cerebral palsy, and I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, that didn't teach you
No,
to
it's like, "Why
like
don't you just ask
squat.
me? I'll tell you."
Yeah, that didn't teach you diddly squat. And I have a couple friends that have Googled cerebral palsy too, and I'm like, okay, you guys, stay away from Google, stay away from the Wikipedia, because until you live with a person, you don't know what makes them tick, what makes them angry, what
Right,
makes them what.
right. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So no, no more Google. Ask ask a source if you can find a source.
Yeah, we're usually open books, aren't
Ah,
we?
we all usually open books. Now, Rebecca, what would be a closing thought for this interview?
I just want to encourage everybody, just like you, Win, is to pursue your passion and don't give up on whether it's education or self-help. Pursue your passion because your passion is what gets you up every morning and puts your feet on the floor and helps you get through the day.
Yep, I definitely agree. I retired from education as a teacher March 13th, 2020. I got laid off due to
Mm.
everything that's going on. And so I thought, the heck with it. I'm going to pursue my passion of motivational speaking. I'm giving myself a 2 year runway. And if I need to go back to work, I need to go back to work, but I mine is and get a W-2 job as a journalist and or helping the disabled in some sort
Yeah.
of educational capacity. But I am never, ever, ever going into education again. Uh, K K through K through 8 scares me. Scares me. I've been and done it, and now I'm living my best life. And sometimes you need that support system to say, "Look, you can
Yes.
do this. You can do this."
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to have that support system, and that support system will be there to pick you guys up off ground. And so now is a time, now as we sit in this world pandemic and this world economic crisis, now is a time to really reevaluate your life and Marie Kondo it and really reevaluate your work, your friends, and figure out, because when we come out of this, we're going to be a totally different society.
Yes. There's going to be a lot of changes, hopefully for the better.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And so I hope you guys enjoyed Rebecca's interview today, and I certainly did. And I will catch you guys next week. And let me know if you need anything. I'll reach out to Rebecca. We'll have Rebecca's information in the show notes. And thanks to you guys. Let's make this world a happier place. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay sane. Thanks to you guys. Bye.
Bye.
You just listened to Ask Win, the podcast. To become a guest in the show, visit our website at askwin.weebly.com or call 816-591-3399. Just look for Danielle. Connect with Win on Twitter at WinKellyCharles and like our Facebook page at Butterflies of Wisdom. You can also purchase Win's book through Amazon.com or get a copy of the audiobook through Audible. Ask Win, the podcast.